Ta-da! Hello, everybody. I am back from the NetSuite Open in San Francisco, where Lori Massaro won her match against Sawa Ibrahim, and basically 2-1. And it was an interesting match because Sawa Ibrahim she has a pugnacious style of play. And what I mean by that is she will push you out of the way if she can, quickly move around you, and basically outmuscle you for the ball. No question about it. And that kind of play, I don't think that Lori Massaro, was ready for. And you could tell by the expressions on her face, at least I could, that she wasn't ready for it. But I didn't start this stream to talk about that. I want to talk about Hugh Hefner, because I grew up with Hugh Hefner, and you know, I'm really sad that he's not with us anymore, but he lived until he was 91 years old. I also, in Hugh Hefner, like, he lived from 1926 to 2017. Hey Octavio, hey Barry Lee, how you doing? Hey all. All right. And I really have to explain that for me, Hugh Hefner was the gateway to sexuality. And what I mean by that is Hugh Hefner taught me that it was okay to be a man, a boy really, who was into, women. And I have to say that beyond Hugh, you're going to get a different take from me because of my background. And you're probably saying, huh, what? But listen, my mom actually encouraged me to not hide Playboys around the house. Okay? But think about that. Think about it. At the time, this was the late 60s and the early 70s. At the time, hiding a Playboy was commonplace. You know, you've seen scenes in movies where the kid didn't want to be seen looking at the, quote, dirty pictures, unquote, right? That was based on Playboy, all right? That was based on Playboy. And you have to really, and yet it's a part of our lives that we so take for granted that we might as well basically take for granted the air we breathe. That's how natural that situation is. Okay? And my mom said, don't hide those magazines. And so I didn't. I read Playboy, and Playboy, because Mom allowed me to read Playboy, I read Cosmopolitan and everything else. Barry Lee says, I'm not sad he lived a long life. What else could anyone ask for? I agree. And John Marks says, hey, God, John Marks, rest in peace, Hugh Hefner. Yes, absolutely. And not only that, what also bothers me about the passing of Hugh Hefner is, with him, to me, it's the passing of an era where it was okay for men to be men. That is, men to be into women. And now it seems to me that men are kind of, if you're interested in a woman, it's almost sometimes it's like you're under siege. And I don't know, I have a theory as to why this occurred, and I think it has to do with how we've integrated as a society racially. And originally it was, as society has become more interracial, there are some, I'll just say straight out, in particular women who are white, who, as a way of countering this idea that they should be accepting of anybody, will come up with an alternative reason to dislike someone who is male and interested in them but not white. And so they'll invent reasons. And that process has become a reaction unto itself that's socially ingrained. And It could be someone, and not just white, but also in the Bay Area, white and some Asian women too, where they won't sit next to you on a bus or a train. Now, what's happened is that note I said, this is a complex discussion, because as that dynamic existed, there were other women, also white, who countered that, who would sit next to the black guy. They were less in number, but then they grew in ranks. And you know what the enabling factor was? Hip-hop. Hip-hop did a great deal to integrate American society from 1995 till today. And I remember Dave, the columnist with the New York Times, Dave, forgot the guy's name, but Dave Brooks, excuse me, because I've met Dave Brooks and talked with him. But Dave Brooks made this New York Times column, wrote it, where he was essentially expressing fear that his daughter was going to date a black rapper. And I got after him about it. At the time, I was writing on sfgate.com in City Brights, and I called him out for it as being racist. But what he had identified was that his daughter, white, was through music interested in a black man. And to him, that was scary. Okay? He's not the only parent that has imparted that idea either directly or indirectly on their daughters. Some daughters reacted against it, and they would use the hip-hop music in much the same way as rock was used against their parents, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, right? And the bad boy who was the rocker was thought of as the guy that you didn't want to date, but they all wanted the bad boy. Well, come 90s and up, the bad boy was thought of as the hip-hop guy who was black. And so we have a society now where it's bifurcated. But not even, well, because that implies an even division. Majority are not that way, but there's a minority that aren't. The trouble is the minority that is not so small that it can be ignored. So that's why we have this problem. So I'm going to get to your comments here. And so the Sports Fury says, hi, Zenny. Hugh lived an amazing life. He certainly did. Steve Grievous, how you doing? He says, I heard a bit ago. Rest in peace, Hugh. And John Mark says, I agree, Zenny, about the women, comment I made about how, there's a certain fear there about, if a woman, if you express an interest in a woman, it's like, it's like, but then, not always. And it also depends on the guy, but today women are a lot, there are some women, not all, there are some women who are not well adjusted to that. And that's what makes it complicated. You can't just say, oh, it's all of, quote, them, unquote. No. There's a group. But again, the group isn't so small that group can be ignored or passed off as, crackpotish, if you will, right? So, how we developed into this, I have a lot of ideas and theories. I'd love to hear yours. But Hugh Hefner, in a sense, pushed the positive part of this, and maybe this is a reaction to it. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. John Marks asks, anyone remember the Playboy pinball machine? I certainly do. And John Marks, Barry Lee says, oh, John, I saw where there was one for sale at an amusements website for $7,500 as is. Wow. Octavio says 1985. John Marks says, didn't Hugh Hefner, I think talking about the hip-hop thing, John Marks writes, didn't Hugh Hefner introduce the go-go boots on the Playboy bunnies? I believe he did. Hey, 31 Scott, how are you? And then Steve Grievous says, hey, Zenny, hello, everyone. Hey, Steve, welcome. Octavio Arias writes, what happens if you're partial to your daughter being to someone with an education? But Octavio, what do you mean by that? Do you think of someone black as not having an education, knee-jerk? Okay? And, do you think of that? Rick Rice, Zenny is the black Hugh Hefner. Thanks, man. God, I wish. Rick, you the man. You have an image of me that I can only live up to. Steve Grievous says, I think this is where we need to have avenues/pathways that allow for people to converse with each other. Familiarity would force a lot of this to dissipate. But Steve, what's blocking familiarity are smartphones. There's one thing I saw when I got off the escalator to go to the NetSuite Open squash tournament that just completely shot me, and I should have just vlogged it, and I could have. It was a public event. I'm going up the escalator, something we do all the time, going up the escalator at Embarcadero Center, and a man went past me, and then he stopped. Okay? It's a common thing. But no, I'm on the right, in a line of people. He's on the left. But get this. The people that came behind him stopped. They didn't say, "Excuse me." Now, if you saw it, and you probably experienced this, what am I saying? You certainly have experienced the situation. They wanted the man to move. But none of them had the basic common sense to ask. And then not only that, they didn't want to unplug. They didn't want to take their headphones off and stop looking at their smartphones to say to this person, "Excuse me." And the reason I say it that way is because I do. I say, "Hey, excuse me, I did it earlier today. I was going down the escalator on my way to the same event, and same situation." And I said to the person, "On your left, excuse me, on your left, excuse me." That kind of, interaction, that kind of announcement of self, of being, of where I am versus someplace else, scares the heck out of some people today at a point that's both mentally ill in my view and comical. Okay? What's happening to this society is ridiculous. And what is worse, that we're allowing it. And it's all because of these devices, of which I'm using to, deliver this live stream. But let me stop for a moment and hear your take. So anyway, and so Steve Grievous says, "Mr. Marks, hello." John Octavio says, "Not black, but educated, also with manners." I understand, Octavio, 1000%. I completely understand. John Marks says, "Mr. Marks is my father. I'm just Steve Grievous. Laugh out loud. You the man, like Rick Rice." Octavio Arias says, "You can have a black man with manners and educated behaviors." I'd like to think that I'm that way, Octavio. Rick Rice says, "John, you are a blessing." Oh, you guys, there's like one love in this room. It's great. That's outstanding. Barry Lee says, even after Hugh Hefner got married this last time in 2011, he stated in 2013 that he never did find his soulmate. Yeah, I think that Hugh spent so much time, some might say womanizing, but I would say appreciating women, that he never really allowed his soulmate to come in. And his soulmate arguably would have been someone that understood, his way, and maybe been like him, but a woman. And which begs the question, could Hugh Hefner have really, if a person's your soulmate, then it goes without saying that he could live with a woman who basically was him in reverse. Okay? To a degree. They have to love each other. That's interesting. That's an interesting scenario to explore. What would Hugh Hefner's soulmate look like? Who would that be? I don't know. Hey, Karen Christensen, how are you? And Steve Grievous says, Steve Grievous says, "Isn't that the level of sensitivity that has allowed Trump to become a favorite? Quote unquote, we are a bit shy, sensitive, and people don't exactly know where to stand and walk." We're neurotic, Steve. People have, because of technology, I contend, allowed themselves to become neurotic, and they have, through smartphones again, narrowed to a micro set their social associations. Yeah, they don't want to talk to this person or that person. You can't even talk to them on the street or anything. Sometimes there are people who are happy when you do, right? So, and so we have, let's see here. John Marks says, thank you, Rick Rice. You are the man. And Octavio says that someone's too pretentious. I don't know who he's talking about. 831 Scott writes, watched Inside the NFL tonight, and Ray Lewis was really upset over comments that Shannon Sharpe made about him taking a knee at the Ravens-Jags game. It looked like he was almost in tears. I didn't see that, 831 Scott, but, you know, I don't, of all people, I think that Shannon Sharpe, considering the way that he has been made fun of by the way he talks, which I always felt was racist, should not attack a person like Ray Lewis. That was uncalled for. I didn't see what he said specifically, but I will explain, you know, that's the case. And then, of course, there's this, you know, the case. But, you know, having said that, now, and I want to come back to talking about Hugh Hefner. John Marks asks, can anyone have more than one soulmate? Yeah, I would think so. Conceptually, why not? I mean, you can have more than one soulmate. I guess what you're asking is, can one have the same soulmate at the same time? And I believe you can. But does having a soulmate mean exclusivity to that person? In my view, it does. When I think of soulmate, I think of exclusivity to that person. So that said, could Hugh Hefner really have had a soulmate and been Hugh Hefner as we think of him? And I think Hugh Hefner would have had to have gone through a change if indeed that's the way Hugh Hefner really is, right? So, Karen, what do you think of Hugh Hefner? I want to hear this from a woman's point of view. And Greg Rice says, Hugh had too much money and fame for him to find his true soulmate. Whoa, what? Wait, Rick Rice, my brother, you got to explain to me what you mean. Are you saying that the more money and fame you have, the less possible it is for you to find your soulmate? I'm curious about that. And Steve Grievous writes, Hugh Hefner had soulmates every 10 years. Ooh, well, that was better than 7-year itch, right? Just asking. But I want to hear a woman's point of view. Miss Christensen, what do you say or write about this? What do you think? I'm waiting with bated breath, and I'm not kidding. I want to know what you think. John Marks writes, Shannon Sharpe is still a tool after catching that 99-yard touchdown pass at the Oakland Coliseum in the 2000 AFC Championship game. I was there, John Marks. He wasn't the tool, he was just a great player. And not only that, the Raiders had no business blitzing, but I digress. Karen Christensen, what do you think of the passing of Hugh Hefner? Steve Grievous says, John Marks, yes, broke our hearts. All right, forget it. Hugh Hefner, remember Brandy? I mean, I'm going to, while I'm waiting for Karen Christensen to chime in, because again, I want a woman's point of view about this, and I really mean that. I wish, you know, I should have chimed in for women. I want to read what Variety, one of my favorite, really my favorite entertainment media outlet. I want to read to you what Variety said. And this is unexpected to me. I don't know what was written on Variety, let alone who wrote it. Pat Saperstein wrote, Hugh Hefner, Playboy founder, dies at 91. And here's the Hugh Hefner that we all know and love. Or at least I do, right there. There you go. There's Hugh Hefner, right? With, as John Marks would say, a bunch of soulmates, okay? All right. Now, okay? Now, Playboy magazine founder Hugh Hefner died on Wednesday at the Playboy Mansion at the Holmesby Hills neighborhood, in the Holmesby Hills neighborhood of Los Angeles. He was 91 years old. The media mogul's influence went far beyond publishing. He created the sexual revolution nearly single-handedly with some help from the advent of the birth control pill and the rise of feminism. Think about that. After starting the status quo-shattering Playboy magazine in 1953, Hefner went on to launch TV and film companies, finance documentaries, and preside over the Hollywood social scene from his bubbling jacuzzi at the mansion, a frequent location for industry events. The mansion, which had become somewhat run down, was sold in 2016, but the terms of the sale specified that he was allowed to live there until his death. He is survived by his wife, Crystal, and 4 grown children. Christy, who served as CEO of Playboy Enterprise for more than 20 years, and for which I give a hearty hand, because Hugh Hefner became one of the first men to really elevate a woman to a position of power like Christy Hefner had for so many years. David, Marston, and Cooper, who currently serves as Chief Creative Officer over the company. Here's a quote. "My father lived an exceptional and impactful life as a media and cultural pioneer and a leading voice behind some of the most significant social and cultural movements of our time in advocating free speech, civil rights, and sexual freedom. He defined a lifestyle and ethos that lie at the heart of the Playboy brand, one of the most recognizable and enduring in history. He will be greatly missed by many, including his wife Crystal, my sister Christy, and my brothers David and Marston, and all of us at Playboy Enterprises, and Cooper Hefner." And it goes on to read. "The man affectionately known as Hef created and guided the Playboy brand for half a century, helping to usher in the freewheeling 60s when I was born in 1962, so please understand, and making a mark on that decade's significant influence on movies, TV, and pop culture. It's only fitting that Hefner planned to be buried in Westwood Memorial Park next to his fellow mid-century icon of sexual freedom, Marilyn Monroe. Posing in Playboy served as a launching pad for a number of women who went on to greater fame, including Jane Mansfield, Kim Basinger, Pamela Sue Anderson, and Anna Nicole Smith, the great Anna Nicole Smith, Jenny McCarthy, and Kelly Monaco. A number of women who were already famous chose to pose in the magazine to boost their popularity, including Ursula Andress, Linda Evans, Raquel Welch, Natasha Kinski, Joan Collins, Susan Summers, Sharon Stone, Shannon Doherty, Drew Barrymore, Farrah Fawcett, and Lindsay Lohan. I met her dad. The eternal bon vivant, personified, which means man about town in French, personified the Playboy image, dating many women such as Barbie Benton, oh my lord, who appeared in his magazine, and marrying Playmate Kimberly Conrad in 1989 when he was in his 60s. They had 2 sons, Marston and Cooper. They separated in 1998, and a rotating cast of young women moved into the mansion, spawning in 2005 the reality show The Girls Next Door, among whose stars was Kendra Wilkinson, who went on to her own reality TV show, which I must admit I have watched several times. Among the Playboy playmates with whom he was involved were Shannon Tweed and Carrie Lee, who filed a palimony suit against him. Eventually, his reputation dimmed a bit as the octogenarian continued to prop up his hard-partying image and amid a revived feminist movement, which just gets to what I was talking about earlier. Born in Chicago, like I was. Us Chicagoans ruling the world. Hefner was a writer for a military newspaper while in the U.S. Army, and then worked as a copywriter for Esquire magazine. Determined to create a better publication, he launched Playboy in 1953 for all of $600. The first issue, featuring a nude photo of Marilyn Monroe, was a big hit, selling 53,000 issues. Providing a counterpoint to the repressive climate of the era, Playboy went beyond the sleazy, girly mags of the time with professional photography and articles by well-known authors. And I must admit, that's where I really came to know the Playboy brand, was reading interviews with such people as, Gay Talese or Richard Pryor and many other luminaries, Bill Clinton. Playboy, the magazine, was regularly known for, in fact, you know what, this gave me an idea for Zenny 62 Media, talking to the newsmakers of the day, or some people that were about to be newsmakers, but you didn't quite know it. That was Playboy's brand and stamp, and it really was fun to watch that place the magazine held in American culture unfold. And anyway, Long before branding became a common concept, Hefner expanded the magazine's reach through merchandising, nightclubs, event sponsorships, and TV shows, and made the iconic bunny head silhouette a familiar signifier of male sophistication and hedonism. Hefner hosted the TV talk show Playboy's Penthouse after getting divorced from his first wife in 1959, then launched the Playboy clubs at their peak. There were 40 around the world, and he hosted the TV series Playboy After Dark in 1969, 1970. I'm going to stop right there and say this. I'm going to say this. A white guy wrote this, all right? Because had a black guy wrote this like me, and I'm going to write my own take, the black guy would have pointed out. Or not just a black guy, but a white guy that was really with it and understood Hefner's impact on the times. Hugh Hefner allowed blacks in his club before the passage of the Civil Rights Amendment and before the death of segregation in the United States. Okay? It was the one, my mom, how do I know this? Because my mom went to Playboy Club. That's right. Women were allowed the Playboy Club. So, this is a crap article. This is a crap article because it doesn't do justice. I'm going to stop reading it right here. It doesn't do justice to Hefner as, it just doesn't. I mean, he talks about how the Playboy Club business was phased out and all this stuff. And, this was probably written by some guy in his 20s or 30s who has no freaking clue. So I'm not going to read this anymore because I'm mad at that take. It really bothers me when people who have no feel for the past write about someone whose impact started, and I say the past in this case, our culture. What I mean by our culture is, as I text to a group of friends of mine, we are the creators of American culture as you live it today. And what I mean by that is this. It wasn't just Hugh Hefner, but it was simply this pa Americana, the idea that we had an American lifestyle of wealth, of class, not just of white privilege, that's a new thing, but a privileged period of the idea of the good life, which you all aspired to regardless of color. Again, regardless of color, and that's the beauty of it. The good life should never be thought of as the province of one, particular person who looks a certain way. The good life is simply just the good life. You understand what I'm saying? Go to ski in St. Barrett's or what have you. My cultural hero of the time was, other than Hugh Hefner, it really was John Kenneth Galbraith, the institutional economist, Harvard economist, advisor to presidents, particularly Kennedy, author of many books, including The Affluent Society, which I actually demand you read, and The New Industrial State, which I demand you read even more. Okay? This was the time of the development of the large corporation, the multinational corporation that we're used to today, of what Galbraith called the technostructure. All of that formed the foundation for Hugh Hefner and his growth. Among others, the Rolling Stones, for example, as a group, the Beatles, cars, like, for example, American luxury cars, the Continental Mark III, which became the Mark IV, and restaurants like Lutece or 21 in New York. I can go on and on and on. Those were the bedrocks of America, and the idea was that anybody should be able to aspire to them. What we didn't have then that we have now is social media to give us the real truth about how screwed up a lot of things were. All right, let me continue and read. And so Rick Rice says, Hefner didn't want black girls in his magazines, though. That's not true, because I've seen a number of black women in his magazines. Hefner went through a change on that. And Steve Grevious points out something that my mom loved about the Playboy clubs, and that Playboy clubs had jazz music throughout. And Barry Lee says, okay, I admit, who went straight for the centerfold to pull out the first thing after getting a new issue? It depended. For me, Barry Lee, okay, I'll be honest. It depended on how the legs were. I'm a leg guy, okay? So if the legs were skinny, I was like, I wasn't into it. Just being honest. We all have our, whatever. So, and so Octavia Arias said, I read the Playmate likes and dislikes. So did I. And as John Marks points out, Bobby Ben was a fox. And John Mark says, didn't know anyone read Playboy for the articles. Yes, well, the interview. The interview, not the articles. The interview. Big difference. Big difference. And he did sell the Playboy Mansion. Yes, he did. And so, he did. All right. Now, Karen Christensen says, I mean no disrespect, but I think they do it for the money. I don't understand why women disrespect their body, and I wonder if the women who do that have been hurt sexually or from broken homes. You know, Karen, I want to weigh in on that. And I think, and before I do 831 Scott writes, Hugh, and I'm glad you mentioned that, Hugh was a very smart man. I don't think there's a man alive that wouldn't want to trade places with him. He lived a long life, surrounded by beautiful women, and was rich beyond belief. And Barry Lee says, Rick Hugh did have them in his magazines when he ran the magazine. Yeah, he did have them, the black girl thing. So yeah, Rick, you're wrong. Rick Rice, you're wrong about that. Now, Miss Christensen, Karen says that, Barry Lee says, Karen, I think you're right, and Hugh Hefner had to know that most of those women were there for money and fame. Karen Christian says, I think Hugh had a more tasteful approach to his magazine. And John Marks says, Glenn Quagmire did a knockoff of Playboy After Dark. Jitty Goo, stick around, something like that. Rick Rice says, I agree with you, Karen, money and the fame. But here's the point. Okay, my point is this. What's wrong with that? I was a Raiderette judge from 1997 to 1998. 98. And there were 400 women that tried out. Well, excuse me, 399 women and one dude who knew he wasn't going to get in. It was hilarious. I'll get to that later. But anyway, the women came from vastly different walks of life. Some were lawyers. Some were in law school. Some were waitresses. Some were unemployed. I mean, they had vastly different backgrounds. But what they all shared was, yeah, a desire to be recognized. And look, I don't deny anybody that. There are two people in this world. There are people who understand that other people want to be recognized, and that other people want attention, or they want attention themselves, and others that don't. And so I completely side with those who want attention. It's their way of affirming their life. When you take all the reasons away, all the psychological analysis, everybody just wants to be acknowledged. They just want somebody to say that they matter. And what's going on in this society is that the more media we have, the more desire for that, dynamic there is. Because everyone wants to stand out from the crowd and be told they're special. Think about it from a very primal position. How wonderful is it to have someone who loves you for who you are? We talk about unconditional love all the time, right? Well, that doesn't stop when you're talking about whole societies. People just want to be loved for who they are. They want to be acknowledged. And they want to be acknowledged in ways that, cause them, or in such a way that they will use their body as a tool to receive that acknowledgement. It doesn't mean they came from a bad home. I don't pretend to know what dynamics lead to that. I know I've seen it in a number of ways, and with women, I see nothing wrong with that. You have to remember something else too, and this is very primal. This has to do with reproduction. And the simple fact of the matter is that, hey, look, you know what? In order to keep the species going, you have to want to have a man want a woman. And that's what we're talking about. Somewhere along the way, we kind of decoupled from that when sex became pleasurable, and maybe you can blame Hugh Hefner for that, directly or indirectly. But a woman who wants to, bear children and have a family will do what she can to make herself look attractive. And so we get the pageants and everything else. I have nothing wrong with that. It's a reminder to me that we're not machines. That we're not machines. Now, those of you who are watching who say that maybe you're attracted to the same sex, fine, okay? That's absolutely great. But I'm talking about for those who are attracted to the opposite sex, like myself, All right? And that dynamic drives population growth, not the other one. So, we have, hey, good night, Barry. So anyway, Octavia says, a person's new body is not something to be ashamed of. No, it's not. But Karen, do you see what I'm getting at? You know, it's not. I didn't grow up. My mom didn't grow up. My mom didn't raise me in such a way that I grew up ashamed to see the female form in a magazine. But I also ask you this, Karen, if you're still here with us, have you ever read Playgirl? When Playgirl came out, I was like, yeah, Playgirl! Never bought one. But the whole point was that it was the feminist movement saying that they had a right to objectify men. How many times we've been to baseball games and women talk about how they like a guy's tush or something like that? That's objectifying men. Ding! Great. For people to complain about that sort of thing to me is nuts. I'm just saying. All right? I'm just saying. So, all of a sudden everybody's silent. Maybe it's because of the hour. I did start late. It's 11:40, which means it's 2:40 in the East. It is late. 831 Scott says, Zinni, I saw your live stream about B of A not being able to fund the loan for the Raiders. I know it's off topic, but have you found any more about that? I'm still digging, 831 Scott, and yeah, I appreciate your asking. I don't want to write anything. I started to today until I have a few definitive pieces of information in hand, which I do not have. And one of those definitive pieces is a key one, has to do with Bank of America's reserves with respect to its loans for sports, and that's what I want to determine. And I need to talk to someone who's in the know. Now, back to Hefner. As Rick Rice says, Hugh Hefner was an elite quarterback. Hugh Hefner, yeah, I guess you could say he was an elite quarterback, Rick Rice. He definitely was. Octavia says, we like to be objectified. We do. I mean, in Georgia, there's a woman that one of the first things she said to me was how great she thought I looked and how hot my body was, okay? But I'm thinking, great, are you going to follow it up by asking me out? It was really annoying. It's like, if you're going to do that, Amanda, at least just say, hey, look, let's go have coffee, right? Don't play games. It's like, oh, come on. You know? Man, that's kind of half in it. You know what I mean? Oh, golly. John Mark says, laugh out loud. Good one, Rick Rice. Rick Rice says, thank you, John. I'll be here all night. That's great. I'll be here all night. Did Karen leave us? Did Karen get mad at me? Oh, man. You know, too bad. I have to figure out a way to grow the audience. Tip the waiter. Thank you. Yeah. Speaking of which, tip the waiter. Don't forget. Invest in Zinni 62. Tip the waiter. That would be me, wouldn't it? I would be also the piano player. Yeah, tip the piano player. Like I said, hey, you know, in fact, that's actually a great thing. I'll make it double shares night. Invest. Tip your local waiter. So, Octavia says she wants you to ask her out. But here's the thing, Octavia. I did ask her out. I said, hey, love to see a movie. And then she said, well, let's just keep running into each other, you know. But we would, but it just wasn't, you know, where she was acting like she was completely available to do that. And I'm hypersensitive to that. I don't like to be in a position, I'm saying this mindful of, this is public, I don't like to be in a position where I'm chasing after a woman who doesn't want me. Particularly at this stage of my life. I feel that, you know, if a woman is such that I should be with her, she'll see that and won't make it difficult for me. Yeah, I'm not in my 20s when women like to play those games, and I was like, oh yeah, fine, yeah, right. Nah, now it's kind of like, you know, I don't have time for that. which is kind of cool because then, you know, you get more friends, right? Women friends. But in terms of someone who I want, my soulmate, I'm firmly convinced my soulmate's not going to do that. Firmly, you know. So, yeah. ML Scott says, tip the Zen Master, please. Boy, oh boy, you know, please. Please. B&B says there's just a release statement on Hugh Hefner that might have been a foreplay in his death, might have been drugged or poisoned. Oh, I don't believe that. The man was, you know, I just think he I don't believe that. And the reason I say I don't believe that is because we always hear about when high-profile celebrities pass away, someone always comes up with some sort of like wild theory as to why they passed on. Why, you know? So, and Steve Grebius writes, repeat. Did you know that Martin Goodman, Marvel Comics, turned Hugh Hefner down on his idea for when it eventually became Playboy? No, I didn't know that. Octavia Arias says, women like to be pursued. Ah, perseverance. Okay. No, you're right about that. You're right about that. Women do like to be pursued. You're right about that. You're right. It's just, you know, sometimes, like a woman, you pursue the woman and then it's like they turn and it's like they get weird. And that's happened to me in the past. And it's like, ugh. I mean, I had a girlfriend that was, you know, she actually, as it turned out, cheated on me with somebody else. And I went to Japan, came back, and we had an argument. And I mean, we've since gone through, and I don't want to go through the details, but it involved both of us. Just basically saying, hey, look, you know what? She was wrong to me, and her mother basically revealed to my mother some things that she was doing that was just absolutely wrong. And that's as much as I'll say about that, okay? So I will tell you, that situation really scarred me. I mean, it really did. Because that was the woman I wanted to marry. And I've seen her since before, and we've gotten together. It didn't work out, you know, but I still have the greatest love and respect for her. She just wasn't right for me. And she has beautiful kids by a guy, and that was fine. That didn't work out well either. Then she had another kid, all beautiful women, beautiful daughters, who are going to do amazing things in this life. I'm telling you, they are, because she is a smart cookie. And like I say, the one thing that I got right about that whole deal with her is I picked out a brilliant woman, a smart woman. She was smart in a way, sadly, I was kind of at times conniving, but she was really smart, all right? So there you go, all right? So anyway, so I see what you're saying, Octavio, and I've definitely tried it. Sometimes you're kind of like, gee, you know, I don't want to work so hard like that. I want a woman that's going to, like, meet me halfway. And maybe that's where I'm at from having gone through all that. And that's it, you know? So anyway, that's it. So, oh, TMZ statement. Okay, I'll check it on TMZ right now. BB, thank you. Karen Christian says, I have never read Playgirl. I get whistled at a lot and wonder why guys do that. Wait a minute. Oh, wait, hold on a second. Did I just read that? Okay, Karen Christian says, I get whistled at a lot and I wonder why guys do that. Guys, do you want to tell them? Octavia says that's how he got married. Perseverance. Steve Grevious says, by the way, Playboy had a couple of books with just interviews. If you want to avoid the pics, you have that option. I did. And 831 Scott writes, I thought The People versus Larry Flint was a good movie. It was. I saw it. Who would have thought Courtney Love could act? But Karen Christensen. I got to get back to this statement by Karen Christensen. Karen Christensen just... wow. Karen, I just... Karen says, I have never read Playgirl. Fine. I get whistled at a lot, and I wonder why guys do that. Karen, it's because they think you're hot. But also what Karen says, I would like to know if guys who whistle at a girl, are they expecting a response back, or are they appreciating women like art? It's the latter, Karen. I can't whistle like that to begin with, but we've all, but also it's like, you have to ask the question, what do you wear that might invite that whistle? And why do you fear it rather than appreciate it? Or is it that you really do appreciate it and you're not exactly giving us the straight, skinny about it? I'm just asking. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but you did say it or write it. And I just want to ask. I will say, as a guy who would say, hey, you look great today, all right? It's a way of appreciating art. That's it. It's art. And Rick Rice just says, 831 Scott says, they are giving you a compliment. And John Mark says, Miss Karen, we do that because we think you're beautiful. Rick Rice writes, you're hot, Karen! ! Steve Grievous writes, we definitely appreciate women like art. I don't expect an answer back, but I haven't done that since I was in my teens, dumb years. Rick Rice writes, I can't whistle, that's why I'm single. Rick Rice, I can barely whistle, but I can't whistle like that kind of like I can't even do it. You're like, I can't do that, okay? Let me put it this way. I could do it if I properly trained myself. All I came up with was, see, I can't. It's when I blow, it doesn't come out right, okay? So, if I have to now. See, now you got me going here. See, you can't even hear me listen. I can't do it. Maybe that's why I'm single. Jeez. No, that's depressing. Anyway, John Mark says, I would never whistle at a woman because I might get slapped. Rick Rice writes, they should make an app for that. Paul Dog says they whistle because of lack of confidence. That's interesting. I never associated... to me, Paul Dog, that's interesting. I always thought it was the reverse. I thought a confident man could whistle. They had no problem expressing that they liked the woman. It's adjunctly related to what Octavio Arias was saying, in that you pursue the woman. Okay? So I view that as the reverse. Why did you think of it that way? I'm curious. This is really great. So, Rick Rice says, hey, Zinster, what do you think about the guys who go shopping overseas for a wife and then bring them back to America? Boo! 831 Scott, Zinny, you just yell woo. That works. Karen Christian says, okay, thanks. I've been whistled at in my Raiders jersey. It doesn't matter what I wear. Oh, wow, Karen, okay. First of all, everybody, applause for Karen. Woo! Then 2 thumbs, way up. Congratulations, Karen. That's outstanding. And Paul Dog says, no, they don't have courage. And Paul Dog, I don't get that. John Marks says, I whistle and I've been married for 25 years. John, you're a lucky man. I hope your wife realizes how lucky she is to have you. And Steve Rebius says, Rick Royce, I've always wanted to be married for that long. Just to have someone by my side that long. And it just hasn't, again, I thought it was going to be, well, I was about to say her name, and no. And then I went through a succession of meeting women who turned out they were lesbian. And I may have talked about that before, but I had the weirdest streak of, twist of fate. And it was like, it was like afterward. And he would say, why, and this went on for about 10, 15 years. I'm not kidding you. Good long relationships. You maybe subconsciously I thought, okay, maybe this will, normalize, right? And it never did. They all had one thing in common. Well, 2 things. They were smart and athletic. Well, 3 things. They were smart, athletic, and hot. Yeah. So anyway, all right. 4 things. They were smart, athletic, hot, and white. Yeah. That was it. That was it. And it wasn't that I had to have somebody who was white either. That's just the way that it worked out. In terms of dating black women, the black women I've always been interested in until, you know, my adult years, like later. But when I was in junior high school, elementary school, they always wanted the athletes. Me, I was the nerd. I was the guy who talked like a white guy. I was the proper guy. I was the kind of guy that Octavio Arias would want his daughter to date, but his daughter may want a bad guy. Okay? I am not the bad guy. So, yeah. So anyway, we've got Steve Greaves says, Rick Rice, if you don't mind my comment, I would never bring them back. The American legal system kicks in when they get here. Well, legal schmeagle. I just don't think that's something I don't want to do. I don't want a woman that's subservient to me. And to me, when someone talks or writes about a mail order bride, that's subservience. You're buying love. You're bringing them over away from their family to a place where they're not familiar and they're dependent only on you. I don't want to be in that situation. That's horrible. You know? I want a woman who's as smart as I am, well, who thinks she's smarter, who is, you know, we're both career-minded and equal in that. I don't mind if she makes more money than I do. It just makes me want, it means I got to get my act together more. That's fine. And we both want a family with kids. I want a partner. I don't want someone that I have to direct. I don't mind having a woman that directs me. I'm being honest. Okay? I'm being honest. So, you know, lawyers, I always thought I would marry a woman who was a lawyer. Hasn't happened yet, still could. But I like women who are lawyers. I like the way they think. Okay? I just from Berkeley all the way forward. I mean, even over management consultants. Yeah, you know, just saying that. So, Karen Christian says, here's something funny. I used to think my hourglass figure was a B. Ooh. Paul Dog says, or writes, if they have a game, they would go and talk and use words. They are afraid of getting turned down and hurt their egos. Okay, I get what you're saying. You know, from that perspective, Paul Dog, I understand. I really understand. And Karen Christian says, birth defect and wore sweatshirts to cover up in high school. Rick Rice says, yeah, Steve and I, yes, Steve, this is Rick Rice writing this. Yes, Steve, I think it's crazy, but a lot of rich guys do that. Women that want U.S. citizenship and will even pay for you to marry them. I saw a documentary on it. Karen Christian says, no, I'm not looking for attention. I was just explaining what happens and what guys are thinking. That's cool. But Karen, it's okay if you want attention. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying. Rick Rice says, you don't want to know what guys are thinking, Karen. Oh, this is great. Steve Greaves says, are we all mail order now? If so, what if you get a mail order bride and you both appear in a completely new location? Is that still subservient? Yeah, it is to me. Because she's mail order. All right? You paid. It is. I'm sorry. It just is. I mean, to me, mail order bride sounds like human trafficking. I'm sorry. It just does. It's like, ugh, really? No, I don't want that. John Mark says, we'll miss Karen, you too, if a lady don't ever change. Yeah, don't change. Don't go changing. Don't go changing. Trying to please me. Or as Rick Rice says, money can't buy love. That's right. Hey, look, Hugh Hefner discovered that. I don't care too much for money. Money can't buy me love, right? Can't buy me love. I think that's the Beatles. Anyway, the whole point is, you don't want to be in that situation. At all. At all. And this comes from a guy who spent thousands of dollars, taking women out to do this and do that, all to discover a little bit later in life, like when I was in my 20s, that you know what? My late 20s, when I had some money and a job. You know what? But even then I had that, I discovered this. I'm a damn good cook. Yeah, I can cook better because my mom has the cooking thing and I got that from her, sort of. I can cook here better than I could buy at a restaurant. Save the money, bring them over and cook. So even if you don't, if you have like a slow burn relationship, the cooking part is always fun. Anyway, Karen Christian says, I won't change, I have morals. Those women who marry to come here have no idea if he will abuse her. That is precisely what I'm talking about, Karen. That's what I'm talking about. It's, why do that? I mean, to me, and this is how I think, buying a mail order bride is like, I think of that as Paul Dog thinks of whistling. I think someone who buys a mail order bride has no confidence in their ability to gain a woman the old-fashioned way. As Octavio Harris says, go out and pursue. So, and Steve Greavy says Patrick Dempsey. The Beatles. Paul Dog says Zinni. It's been a while. How's your relationship with the mayor now? It's, I don't want to talk about that. Hey, Raider Flea, how you doing? Karen Christian says, Rick Rice, you were right about the money. And John Mark says, Billy Joe sang Piano Man, and I love just the way you are. Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. I will say, there was a friend also in terms of, why, because I think about this like now. It's like, gee, what's going on? Most of the guys that I know met their wives late in college or they were set up by friends. But that wasn't the case for me. And the friends that I had, some of them I know to this day that I'm not talking to, didn't really set me up. They had the little dating clubs where their dating clubs are all white. And most of my friends of my adult years have been white. But most of my white male friends, my white male friends had, white, in some cases Asian, girlfriends, right? And their women friends around weren't exactly looking for a black guy. Maybe, so it didn't add up the way that I thought it should. And I was, at the time, didn't want to accept the idea that race would play a role, or was playing a role. And sometimes I just wasn't lucky enough. I mean, sometimes your turn just doesn't come up yet. And I've been a late bloomer in a lot of things. That'll change at some point very soon. Now, Karen Christian says, I'm sorry, I thought my hourglass was a birth defect. Huh? I think, this is Karen Christian. She says, I'm sorry, I thought my hourglass was a birth defect. I think that's funny because I wore sweatshirts to cover it up. Laugh out loud. And then John Mark speaks for me. Miss Karen, you're awesome. You have nothing to apologize for. Nothing. But you know what? Think about the discourse we're having, the conversation we're having, the exchange. Well, Hugh Hefner created this. He made it okay, along with Masters and Johnson and the creators of Playgirl and others after Hugh Hefner, to talk in this way about men and women and relationships and sexuality and everything else. I think that's Hugh Hefner's enduring legacy. I really do. Joe Binsman. Hey, Joe, how you doing? You just come in? Steve Grievous is right. John Marks is right. Karen, be happy. Adam Mills. Remember your Tom Cruise video about how tall he was for that role? Yes, I do. And Karen says, thank you, John. And Karen Chris says, hello, Joseph. Rick Rice says, what about the lady you took out the other night, Zinni? She was banging. Oh, she was nice, wasn't she? That's who I saw tonight, too. Beth and I have a relationship that goes back to 1999. And we're friends, and I love her to death. And, I think I'll just say out of just respect for not revealing too much, I would just say that is someone who I always hold a special place in my heart for, even if I think that their desires are different from mine. And, and that statement packs in a lot. It really does. She is an incredible lady. what I love about Beth is that she is the ultimate people person. And I was telling her because that she has a great company, and the company is around marketing, sports marketing, but I was saying to her today, she needs to make sure she cultivates the development of a staff that reflects her image, reflects her behavior. And I say this because there's some women that she hires that, not all, but some, but they come in and they're socially shy, but it's not, and it's not, but it's not healthy. It's not in a healthy way, where they may need to have alcohol to get a little bit, comfortable, and that's not a good thing. And they need to understand what it means to just network and listen and not be afraid to interact with all kinds of different people. And I'm at the age where I can pick up if a person has that problem within 10 seconds. And so I was counseling her about that, because she's not like that. But she is, to me, a lot like, she's the ultimate. In fact, if there was someone who could have been Hugh Hefner's soulmate, it would have been her. Let me put it that way. But she is an outstanding businesswoman. Her brothers are great friends of mine. Her sister's a fantastic friend of mine. I have known them, even though it's been since '99, it feels like it's longer, all right? And should we be married? I think yeah. But, yeah, whatever. There it is. So I'm glad you all saw that and saw that, how special she is to me. And she's a fantastic person. So it is. And John Mark says, that's awesome. Thanks. Appreciate it. And John Mark says, I think Beth is a terrific lady too. She is. She really is. And Steve Griever says, all right, did Hugh Hefner get American O'Hare marriage? Hey, Steve, can you rewrite that? I didn't understand it. Paul Dog says, good night, Zinni. Thanks for the chat. Hey, Paul Dog, thank you for your participation. Oh, by the way, if you can invest, I really could use a cheap cup of coffee tomorrow. If someone could just chip in $2, it'd be great. Heck, $5. Buy a big cup of coffee. That'd be fantastic. Double shares night. Double shares. So, something like that. So anyway, that'd be fantastic. Or if you buy, that'd be great. That'd be great. So anyway, moving along. What else has been said about Hugh? I'm going to check out the TMZ deal, because someone was talking about TMZ. So Steve Reeder says, did Hugh Hefner get American culture on the path where marriage is less of an institution? Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He certainly did. He was a big, would the proper term be progenitor of that? I believe so. Now, TMZ, we've got, okay. Wow, Young Thug is in trouble. Let's see. Hugh Hefner dead at 91. Breaking news. Hugh Hefner, who founded Playboy and turned it into a globally iconic brand, is dead at 91. Playboy said Hugh died peacefully at home Wednesday, surrounded by loved ones. Hugh's health had been in serious decline over the last year, and he has not been seen in public for some time. His passing comes just over a year after his brother Keith died battling cancer. Playboy magazine catapulted Hef into a cultural phenomenon, paving the way for the iconic Playboy mansion that quickly became known for its legendary parties. As TMZ reported, Hef parted ways with the pad in 2016 August, selling to Pabst Blue Ribbon Hair Darren Metropoulos for $100 million. But the sale had one condition: Hugh Hefner could live in the mansion without the new owner meddling until Hefner died. And they have this inside the Playboy mansion. God, this place is lavish. Oh my goodness. I mean, look, folks, you gotta look at these photos, all right? I mean, just you gotta see these photos. You have got to see these photos of the Playboy mansion. Look at this. That's one, okay. This is from TMZ. It says launch gallery here. There, all right. So here comes the little gallery. These are Getty photos. Come on. Not seeing anything. Not showing anything. Huh. This is not... It's not showing. Well, okay. Well, so much for that. Anyway. I thought that was going somewhere. Well, that's disappointing. Whoa, sorry about that, folks. Hold on a second. Just, things got a little unplugged there. Let me plug back in. All right. Now, let me continue reading this. Hef married 3 times. First to high school sweetheart Mildred Williams in 1949, then former Playmate of the Year Kimberly Conrad in 1989, and finally Crystal Hefner in 2012. She's 31 years old. Wow. She's 31? 31? I had no idea. 31? Holy fick holy. His third marriage came 4 years after breaking up with longtime girlfriend Holly Madison. He's survived by 4 children. Christy and David from his first marriage, and Marston and Cooper from his second marriage. And this is Hugh and Crystal clubbing. Take a look at this. She's 31. He's like, this was 2012. Okay? The wife. Clubbing. Clubbing. I guess those are security guards. Wow. Something else. Hugh. Getting down at 90, well, 80, whatever. And, of course, we know about the publishing and everything. And, oh, see, this is what I'm talking about. The magazine also had a strong pull with some amazing writers, including Gabriel Garcia Marquez, Margaret Atwood, and Haruki Murakami. And, wow, hot Playboy bunnies. This is, this is what Hefner and Playboy became known for right here. Boom. I'll get to your comments in a second. All right. There you go. All right. Okay. I don't see the article. I don't see any bad news articles here. Hugh Hefner dead. Celebrities remember Playboy mogul. Let's see here. Ryan Seacrest tweeted, "Rest in peace, #Hugh Hefner. He will forever be remembered as the Hollywood legend who lived life to the fullest." Kim Kardashian West, "Rest in peace to the legendary Hugh Hefner. I'm so honored to have been a part of the Playboy team. You'll be greatly missed. Love you, Hef. XOXO." Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr., who I know. Hugh Hefner was a strong supporter of the civil rights movement. We shall never forget him. May he rest in peace. And thanks to TMZ for putting that in there, because that's forgotten by so many people. I haven't forgot. And so they go on and on. There's a number of tributes. Mike Epps, Juicy J, a number of tributes here. And let's see here. Oh, wow. Rob Kardashian is claiming that Black China beat him and tried to choke him. That's a heck of a relationship. And so, Tom Cruise, yeah, that ass is real on set, says Mummy co-star. Okay. Oh boy, and then Tamara Braxton and all this. I don't see this bad news that people are talking about with Hefner. I don't see that. I don't see that at all. So there's nothing here reporting that Hef died in any way that was untoward. Judge Usher accuser. Judge shuts down her efforts to control his finances. Wow. And of course, Young Thug with his problems, and boy. Legends Football League shades NFL. We don't get on our knees. What? Okay. Oh well, there's a reason for that. Let me explain. Let me explain this. When you don't know what Legends Football is, when they say they don't get on their knees, take a look. Maybe they, right. All right. So there you go. Okay. Now, there you are. All right. So anyway, okay. Well, there you go. But nothing bad about Hefner. I'm looking at TMZ. I don't see anything, so it's not there. All right. Don't know what you're talking about. All right. So back to the fray, back to the fun. What you guys are saying now. Steve Breivy says Hugh Hefner is the only guy to upstage James Bond in his own film. Yes. And Karen Christensen says Maybe he married the young women because it might have made him feel younger. You know, that's interesting, Karen. I think for me, like, for example, I think about that because my last girlfriend was half my age. But also, the average age of the people who consume my content is 28. All right? So, which is, if you think about it, yeah, you know, about where the age of my girlfriends have been over the past 10 years, 11 years, 15 years, okay? But the reason has to do with who I click with in terms of pop culture. In other words, what I'm interested in, what they're interested in, our values, how we talk about things, how we think about things, and also their comfort with me. So, you know, it's all of that. And I will say, however, I've dated someone who was 44. She had 4 kids, but she was 44 and not certain of what she wanted. She just wasn't there. And that was individual to her. It's complicated. It's complicated, right? It really is complicated. I believe that in my individual case, the nature of the business that I do causes me to pay attention to, and I think this is true for Hugh Hefner, or is true for Hugh Hefner. I'm not going to think of him that way because it's hard for me to think of Hugh Hefner as dead. It just is. But when you are publishing media of any kind, you have to be aware of current trends. And that means that you are automatically drawn to pay attention to a society that may be younger than you are. Maybe younger than you are. And if you eat, sleep, and drink media, it quite frankly shapes how you are and who you're going to gravitate toward. Okay? So I think, speaking for myself, there's the reason, all right? So, Karen Christian says, maybe he married the young women because it might have made him feel younger. As I said before, Joseph Bensman says, did you hear about the NCAA scandal? Yes, I did. Karen Christian says, he must have felt like a king with all the women. Well, yeah, that money, and then they all gained their fame from him, and he loved the fact that he was able to elevate their stature by having them in his orbit, right? So that worked for everybody. Was happy, theoretically. I mean, I frown like that because you think about the lawsuits and the scandals and all that, and it wasn't always, you know, it wasn't always fireworks and applause, right? So no, it wasn't that. But young women, I don't know. Wow, that's interesting. She's 31. He's 91. 31, and that boggles the mind. Wow. 831 Scott. There was an article in the Las Vegas Review-Journal yesterday about the NFL protests and how it caused risk to taxpayer financing the stadium. Basically saying, I think I lost my microphone. Sorry. I did. Oops, sorry about that. I lost my microphone. Whoops. How come no one told me I lost my microphone? Okay. That's better. All right. No one told me. Basically saying NFL could lose popularity, and no, I don't buy that. As far as the risk to taxpayer financing and all that, I don't buy that at all. Joseph Bensman says, one thing for sure, even though he lived to a grand age of 91, he could have died 20 or 30 years ago, and he would have been said to have lived more than many others have. Truly remarkable. Joseph, that is. I mean, you can quintessentially say that Hugh Hefner lived a great life. He quite literally came, saw, and conquered. And lived to tell about it. Okay? He came, saw, conquered, and retired. All right. I mean, he started Playboy with $600 in his pocket. The first publication had, of all people, Marilyn Monroe in it, nude. Wow. How much is that? How much is that worth now? Wow. I mean, let me see something. First Playboy edition value. Let me try it. Let me type that. First ever Playboy magazine value. Let me see what that comes out to be. Okay. There's Playboys on here. $1,399, $339. There's another one, first issue. Playboy first issue is going for $2,500 on eBay. That's what this says. Let me show you this. December 1953, Marilyn Monroe. You gotta check this out. Here, check this out, folks. All right, you gotta check this out. There it is. Playboy first issue, December 1953, Marilyn Monroe, first edition, sealed, mint reprint, $2,500. One available, brand new. Okay. There. No returns, but backed by eBay, money back guarantee. And here it is. There it is. Okay. There it is. Or as much as they're allowing you to see. $2,500. Woo! That's a lot of coin for a magazine. Karen Christensen writes, I don't understand how a guy can like a woman with implants that pose, because that is not how a woman looks, and gives girls a complex because they don't look like that. Well, Karen, my dear friend Megan Avalon, who graces Zenny62, and I haven't talked to her in a while. I hope she's doing well, but she had them. And it was a natural part of who she was. And what I love about Megan is that she was always the same. And when I met her, it was at the local gym, and she was smiling at me. And I thought, I have to talk to this, woman who's smiling. And we just hit it off. She was training to be a bodybuilder and a trainer, and she would model. And so I featured her on my channel, talking about working out and being a strong woman and everything. And the benefit for me was views. I mean, her videos generated, I think a couple of them generated over several million views. And it wasn't just because she was, buffed, blue-eyed, blonde, buxom, right? The B's, or biceps. But she also had biceps. But there was something about her personality that just came through, because she's sweet and well-meaning. And a lot of our videos were her talking about, the Raiders and Silver and Black, or her view about this TV show that came on, or being a strong woman and working out, that sort of thing. I was very proud of that. That was 2007. Was that 2007? Wait a minute. 2010. Excuse me. Yeah, 2010. But she had the implant thing going. But it was part of her brand. It was part of her look. And as a bodybuilder, she was following a model that was established by a woman by the name of Melissa Detweiler. And I had the pleasure of meeting Melissa, who started her own brand as a female bodybuilder, but she controlled everything, her own photographs, negotiations, everything, because the sad fact of society then and now, 7 years ago, and sadly even today, is that women bodybuilders, to me this is completely nuts, don't make as much as their male counterparts. This is what's crazy to me. Male bodybuilders like the Arnold Schwarzenegger types will command hundreds of thousands of dollars. And yet I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. How come the women, if guys like women, don't command more money, right? On the circuit. That's weird to me. So they have to become models, as opposed to, you know, being loved for their muscular female body, right? That's changing, however. That's changing. But, you know, slowly. But it's still taking a long time. Okay? So I don't... Now, Karen writes, true love doesn't know age difference. That's true, Karen. And Sidney says it's a reprint, redescription. It's a reprint for $2,500. Yeah, a reprint for $2,500. That's what they were saying. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Do you want to take another look at that real quick? I'll go and get it for you. Oh, by the way, once again, if anyone would buy me a cup of coffee, that'll be fantastic. Please. Now, I'll go back and get that for you. Let's see here. It is, yeah. Here it is again. I'm going to show it to you. Playboy, right there, first edition there. Okay, there it is. Playboy first issue, December 1953, Marilyn Monroe first edition sealed mini mint reprint. Sealed mint reprint. Okay. All right. You can buy it now, or you can make an offer. And there it is. Okay. There it is. Now, I wonder if I can find some other version of that. Let me see here. Maybe not. First ever Playboy magazine value. First ever copy. Daily Mail. Most valuable Playboy magazine issues of all time. There's a list. It's a list? Wow. Okay. I saw another one way that was going for $5,500. All right, hold on a second. Let me turn back here. Hold on. Playboy magazine first issue, current price $5,500. Take a look at this. Take a look at this. All right. Whoops. Okay, look at this, folks. There it is. All right. Hey, thank you for the investment, by the way. Playboy. Look at this. Lock at this. Lock closed. Winning bid 7,040. So this one, all right, Playboy magazine first issue. A first issue of Playboy magazine featuring Marilyn Monroe on the cover. The magazine, which was launched December 1953, sold 50 cents a copy, 11 by 8.5 inches. Category is Marilyn Monroe. Lock closed. 7,000. Woo dog. $7,040. That was the winning bid. I can't whistle. I can't whistle. The most valuable Playboy magazine issues of all time, according to the website therichest.com, is that one with Dan Aykroyd as the cone head on the cover. We've got, let's see here, November 1954, centerfold Diane Hunter is one. Diane Hunter looks like Wonder Woman. Here, take a look at this. Let me show you this. There, okay. Nah, get rid of that. Okay, all right. 10 most valuable Playboy magazine editions of all time. You know what, folks? They have some sort of refresher in the code. That's annoying because this is whole heavy with ads and everything that the page takes a long time to load. Oh, that's annoying. Okay, you know, so I was gonna scroll through it, and I still want to because, oh, here, okay, got it. Come with me over the sea. Here we go. Da-da, boom, boom. All right. 1954, centerfold Diane Hunter. That's number 10. 1955, Betty Page. That's classic look there. See what I mean? It refreshed again. For crying out loud. Because it's still opening. Betty Page. And then 1954, March and February, Yvonne Menard and Dolores Del Monte. Okay. January 1954, first dated issue and First with the Rabbit. 1962, Marissa Mathis. I remember this one. This was the year I was born. June 1962. I was born August 4th. I remember that. I didn't see it when I was out of the womb. I'm just saying I remember it, all right? And this was Sexual Repulsion and Killers. This is what? This one is August 1993, Pamela Anderson and Dan Aykroyd. Okay. Then September 2009, Heidi Montag. Wow, original cover photo. November 1993, Jerry Seinfeld and various models. 1980, Bo Derek. I remember that one. And let's see here, December 1953, Marilyn Monroe. There. Okay, so there you go. All right. So there you go. All right. Those are the 10 most valuable. Now, what do you guys say? Karen Chris says, my oops. My question is it more attractive to be extremely skinny like one-way models? No! Or a woman with a curvy figure like Marilyn Monroe who didn't look like she was starving? Marilyn, I'm sorry. The 7-Year Itch contains one of the most, not only one of the most famous scenes in movie history, but one of the most popular scenes I've ever seen for me. I loved it when she walked over that subway thing and the wind blew up and all that. That was incredible. Wow. That was Marilyn. I mean, she was healthy. You know, wholesome is the term, as my mom would say. 831 Scott, I have a mint condition still sealed in the package Playboy with the Playmates posing with the band Kiss. I remember that one. And I don't know what it's worth, but I haven't researched it either. Hey, let me find out. It may be worth. Hold on a second. Don't go anywhere. Karen Christian says, I noticed that women starve themselves for the attraction of guys. Not sisters. Not a lot of black women. No way. That's a white thing. Okay? I'm just here to tell you that. That is. And unfortunately, a lot of white women are not doing that anymore. Particularly those who are in the bodybuilding and developing their musculature, their muscles, and understanding that strong women are beautiful women. That's the message today. Strong is beautiful for women. So it's not making yourself skinny like that. No, that is a thing of the past. Thank you, Lord Jesus in heaven. No, absolutely not. No. Now, John Mark says, I like women with a curvy figure. My wife has a Marilyn Monroe figure, hubba hubba. You know, John, that makes me so happy that you're married to your wife for 25 years and you still think of her and describe her that way. I mean, you know, I can only hope I am half that lucky before I pass away. Karen Christian says that women who played in Joan and Mad Men. Yeah, Jessica Chastain was full-figured like Marilyn Monroe. She looked good. She was awesome. Awesome. Now, 831 Scott's wondering what his... Yeah, John, you the man. John, you are definitely the man, without question. Let's see what... let's see here. Playboy magazine value... Kiss cover. I'm going to have some... Hopefully... get an answer for you. Okay. It's worth $20 on eBay. I'm seeing... Is this the one, the 831 Scott? Let me ask you. Hold on a second. Is this the one? That one? The Playboy Kiss issue says this is $20. Buy it now or make an offer. Okay. Let's see here. That's it? Yeah. Okay. That guy wants $20. This person wants $99. So this was $19. So there you go. That's sort of a medley of them. So you're not going to get a lot for that one. That's like in the $20 range. Let me see. And that's all I see. I don't see anything. Yeah. $20. I don't see anything better than that. I see, yeah. Not seeing anything better than that. No, sorry about that. There you go. That's 20, okay? Yeah. Sidra says, so solid listings. Go solid listings. Rick Rice says, Karen seems like a cool chick. I agree. I completely agree. Sold. 831 Scott says, it's still worth more than what I paid for it. What'd you pay for it? Ah, that's a great point. You know, it may not be like, and I think maybe I was impacted by the 5,500, right? But what did you pay for yours? Just curious. Karen Christian says, I have never read Playboy. It seems like they feature a lot of celebrities. They do. I think the classic Playboy that for me was with Barbie Benton on the cover. That was one. Yeah, Barbie Benton. And then the interview with Jesse Jackson was another. And I also enjoyed the ones with Bill Clinton. Yeah, so there you go. And did Barack Obama ever do an interview for Playboy? Let me see something here. I wonder. That would be, I mean, that would be so Playboy, right, to have happen. But let me see here. Obama, Playboy. I wonder if Trump ever did one for Playboy. Oh, jeez. Let's see here. Playboy, Obama, Playboy interview. How about interview? Let's see here. Nope. Dick Cheney gave an interview in there. Yeah. Cheney rips Obama administration in Playboy interview. Cheney says Obama is worst president of my lifetime. And then came Donald Trump. Yeah, come on. Dick Cheney was just mad that basically Obama took the gaze away from his whole deal with attacking Iraq and exposed the hypocrisy of it, and then set up the climate where Cheney could be accused of war crimes, a violation of war crimes, or doing war crimes. Yeah, right, Dick. Don't see an interview for that Obama did for Playboy. Oop, forgot to check on Donald Trump. Hold on a second. Karen Christian says, good for you, John. Finding the wife you love to look at, it will make her feel special. Yeah, that's really heartwarming. 831 Scott says, I can't remember what I paid, but I think it was around $5 or $10. John Mark says, she is very special, Miss Karen. Thank you for the nice and warm compliment. John, you know what? You hit your personal jackpot right there. I mean, you hit your personal jackpot. So that's really cool. I can't say enough. That almost makes me want to cry. I can't say enough how beautiful that is. Congratulations, John Marks. Congratulations. That's really cool. It really is. M.L. Scott says, Playboy was upset they featured Trump. Oh, wait a minute. Let's see here. Donald Trump, Playboy magazine, Trump. Boom. Yep. President and Donald Trump. Do you know what this magazine is going for with Donald Trump on the cover? It was signed and autographed. Take a guess. Someone give me a guess. Someone give me a guess. It's Donald Trump, Brandy Brandt, 1990. Anybody? Anybody want to guess how much it's going for on eBay? Don't look it up. All right, I'll tell you. It's going for $1,999. Take a look at this, folks. Take a look at this. Nope, not 100. Look at this. Look at that. See that? See that? Signed order. Here it is. Okay. Okay. Donald Trump. Donald Trump interview. With the Donald Trump interview. Now I want to read the interview from 1990 to see what he said then compared to now, right? So, boy, it went from, okay, then it's on, another copy of it is $1,000. Lowest price is $279. So there you go. Playboy Chief. And here's what you're talking about. Playboy Chief. Trump's governor is a personal embarrassment. That's Cooper Hefner who said that. The Playboy brand is distracting itself from the president it once featured. It's distancing itself from the president it once featured. Wow. Ah. I mean, you're right. They were personally embarrassed. And 831 Scott writes, I got it because I like the band Kiss, as do I. And when those guys pass away, God forbid, the value might go up a lot. That's why I never opened it. Hey, keep it. Keep it. No, you're absolutely right. That's going to be worth a ton. So definitely keep it. And I hope that never happens. But absolutely right. You're right. Karen Christensen says, thank you, women worry. Thank you. Women worry if they have too much cellulite and fear that their man will look elsewhere, especially if they have stretch marks from giving birth. I didn't get them, but I hear that a lot. Karen, I'm going to say something. I just discovered day before yesterday what stretch marks were. I'm telling you the truth. And my lady friend didn't believe it. I said, those are stretch marks? She goes, she started laughing. I said, I didn't know what stretch marks were. I had no idea. I mean, especially since there's so much of her that looks great. But no, I don't see stretch marks. I still refuse to acknowledge the existence of them. So there you go. There you go. Karen Christian says, didn't the Barbie twins appear in the magazine? Yeah, they did. I believe they did. Hold on a second. Let me check that. Barbie twins. Barbie twins. Barbie twins. Playboy. Mag. Yes. Barbie twins Playboy mag. Yes. They are. They're not going for much, like $3.60, one of them. Shane and this is signed versions going for $129. Here, have a look at what I'm talking about. This is the signed version, okay? All right. Vavoom, the Barbie twins. See that? It's the Barbie twins. So there you go. Vavoom. Now, see, for me, they need muscle. Too skinny. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And so Joseph Binsman says, Life in General is upset it has featured Trump. I know, Scott. That is true and absolutely hilarious. That is absolutely, that's outrageously funny. It just is. It just plain is. Life in General is upset it has featured Trump. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's hilarious. Oh, by the way, if you're wondering where I was tonight at the squash event, let me give you a taste of the interviews that I did. Very, very proud of them. And I'm going to hook up the speaker here so you can see, okay? And here, what I did, who I talked to, who I interviewed. Hold on a second. Trying to get the, again, it's that wires thing. You know, I always talk about how those wires get crossed, right? Oh, let me get that. See, look at this. Look at this. Ta-da! There it is. All right. Okay, there's that. And let me go to the videos. There it is. All right. Okay, there's that. And let me go to the videos. And I got to go back here. Okay, there's that. And let me go to the videos. Turn that down. Get rid of the static. So let's see here. All right. Let me take you to Where is it? There. Oh, here we go. This is the defending champion, Laura Massimo, right here.
1-800-GOT-JUNK.
1-800-GOT-JUNK?
1-800-GOT-JUNK.
25 years ago, it was a tight summer labor market. It was almost impossible.
Skip the ad.
Well, folks, it's been a year, but the last time I talked to Laura Massaro, she was challenging the defending champion. Now she is the defending champion of this great open. So, Laura, what does it feel like to be back, and your thoughts?
Just, really enjoyed my time last year in San Francisco, and obviously when you win the tournament, it's a really good feeling, and so really happy to be back, trying to retain my title, and yeah, just enjoying my time so far.
Your game actually seems like it's changed, and you got somebody that is teasing us. But describe for us how your game has improved since last year.
Well, just been trying to work, keep on improving the physical side of my game, and improve my short game, improve my physicality around the court. Always trying to improve basically on a few different areas. So hopefully that comes together over the course of this season.
Yeah. How do you feel about this site now that you're back again?
Just really excited to be back on the glass court, having been at the Bay Club yesterday, and the weather's been amazing, so hopefully a little bit warmer than it was last year.
I know you're in a hurry, so hey, thanks for the time.
Yeah, no worries, thank you.
Twitter account.
Twitter's LJ Massaro.
Okay, thanks a lot.
No worries, thanks.
That was Laura Massaro. She was, and then this was the, well, that's a long live stream, so I'm not going to, and then this is, she's funny. Every time I talk with her, we had a great time.
This is Sarah Jane Perry, and she's back at the Next Suite Open. And hey, how's it different this year? You actually look, to be honest, look like you've been lifting weights, but stronger.
Well, I'll say that. Well, it's been 2 years since I was here last. I've been doing pretty well. Got up a few places in the rankings, been playing some good squash. And, just the weather's nice for this time, so...
Isn't it though? Yeah. How's your game changed over the time?
I've tried to hit the tin a bit less, which I think most of the time I've been sort of succeeding. Not always. But yeah, I've just been trying to play a bit more attacking squash and impose my style.
Yeah. Folks, she has the greatest deadpan of anybody I know. I mean, she really, her other job is comedian. She is really, I mean, when she says something and it sounds like it's not serious, it's really serious. So she can kill you on the court. I'm letting you know that, right?
It's our British sense of humour, which American friends don't always understand. We get Amanda Sobey a lot with those. She doesn't understand our humour.
Wait, Amanda, I'm tagging you, by the way. Hey, Amanda, how you doing?
Get well soon.
Yeah, get well soon, definitely. She's gonna be mad at you, man.
No, she won't be mad. until she tries to have a comeback and goes way below the belt. Too close to the bone.
Ooh, I think I sense a little trash talking here, just a little. Fun stuff here.
Well, she needs to come back soon so it can be trash talk on the court.
That's right. Hurry up. And by the way, the Patriots are not going to the Super Bowl, but that's another story. Great to see you. Thanks.
Okay, so those were just some of the interviews that I did at the Net Zero. Now it's the Oracle. It's the Oracle Net Zero Open. Okay, and that's where I was earlier when I did the live stream and everything else. Okay, so just a little taste of some fun with the people that I've interviewed before and had a lot of fun. And all right, so now it's 12:48 a.m. almost 1 o'clock, which means it's almost a heaping 4 o'clock in the morning. Ooh, boy, East. Folks, I'm going to go to bed. Good night. Been on for an hour, 2 hours. I don't know, a long time, whatever. Hugh Hefner. Signpost in the zeitgeist. A gigantic signpost in the zeitgeist. Any closing thoughts as I leave by anybody? Anyone? I'll be back tomorrow, Thursday, and we'll talk NFL after the Packers game. and all things in our NFL preview, which I'll do every Thursday. Karen says, thank you to everyone for putting up with my questions. Karen, I thought you were outstanding. Thank you for your honesty and your candor. And John Marks says, bet your last money it's all going to be a stone gas, honey, and watch horror films. Keep America strong. I 1000% agree, John. 1000% agree. Hey, John, have you seen the ice cream truck? Let me know. Have you seen it? Let me know. See it. Joseph Binsman says, hope aid keeps coming to Puerto Rico. Yeah, and really worried about that island. I am too. 831 Scott says, will you be at the Oakland JPA meeting? That's the 20th. Yeah, I should be. John Mark says, thank you, Miss Karen. Yes, I will be. But, you know, the NFL fall owners meeting is coming up, by the way. By the way. All right, everybody. I'm faded. I'm fading the black. Good night. Thank you all so very much. See you tomorrow.